Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for your continued Ring of No Champs edition. Ring of Honor post show here on Fightful. I'll be honest, this is the least excited I've ever been to do a show under the AEW umbrella. Like today took a bite out of me. And that is a bummer, and it's a cheap ploy to ask you to get in your super chats because I need your help today, people. I need your help, but please get in those super chats. We don't do humper chats on the show because I don't have access, but please feel free to chat along with us. We'll also ask you to leave a thumbs up on this video. If you would be so kind, helps people find us in the algorithm. And, of course, to subscribe to Fightful Select. Boy, oh boy, I'm sure Sean will be getting some information on the news we found out today about Ric Flair signing to a multi-year deal with AEW. And I am so thrilled, Reg. Not buying it? No. No.
My mic's not working.
Oh no. Oh no.
I wish that was real, but it's totally working. Kate, I was doing a pod. I don't know what happened, but I wasn't on the internet, and then I got on the internet. Oh, I was talking on the phone to someone, and I got off the phone and I got on the internet, and I was like, I wish I didn't get on the internet.
Yeah.
What? Somebody on Ask Grapsity was like, each of you guys gave me 3 pros and 3 cons, and I couldn't come up with 1 pro, to keep it honest, you know?
Maybe if they're trying to grease the wheels for Charlette to come in, I guess.
Okay.
It's a stretch and a half.
Kate's been spun that like a son of a gun. Okay.
I'm trying to find some reason why this company would do this, because I'll tell you what, I didn't think Dynamite was that great yesterday, and then to have this on top of everything does not feel like the alternative that we all know and fell in love with, on top of what was another very medium episode of Ring of Honor. Where are the champions? The main event, a main event match, though. Finally, right. We get Athena in her proper spot main eventing here. But overall, what did you think of tonight's episode?
I need coffee right now, and immediately it was a chore to get through this TV show, and it shouldn't be, because Ring of Honor has a bunch of talented people. Luckily, thank the Lord, thank the goddess herself, Athena, and Mercedes Martinez for saving me at the end of this. But for a while there, Kate, I was like, can I maybe get out of this podcast? Like, what can I say to Kate that'll get, like, maybe if I come in with the substitute already, I'm like, this fool watch SP3, like, he watched it, like, just he's there, he just pops up on the show, it's just him instead of me. Like, I thought of all the rest, because I was like, I don't know what's going on here. But then they had this main event, and I was like, okay, I want to be on this show because I want to talk about this main event.
I would have been like, I get it, but not today, Reg. Not today of all days. If you came in hot with SP3, maybe I consider it, because he does a great job filling in for you. But for the love of God, oh man, yeah, this was just kind of another there episode. But let's get into it. We do have some chats coming in already. Thank you guys so much. We have Chad saying, all right, show, great main event. Athena is ROH. Yeah, kind of what we were just saying at the top of the show, right? It was very medium, but Athena always bringing it. She's the only champ that's not allowed to appear on the main roster for some reason. But all right, Matthew Hook saying, here for you always, Kate, ROH is getting better. It is getting better. I felt like today was another episode where nothing really advanced too much. Obviously, we saw yesterday that the Hung Bucks dropped the trios titles, so I don't know what is going on here, but there's more cohesiveness, but this was another episode where it didn't feel like much advanced all that much.
No.
We got Meet Normus chiming in as he always does. 4 women's matches, great. Ric Flair signing, hot garbage. What are we doing here? I love y'all, but ROH and AEW has me sour lately. Meet forever. Me too. I actually thought last week was like a really strong week across the board. I thought we had a really strong Dynamite, a really great Rampage. the Ric Flair stuff wasn't for me then, even before this was a long-term signing, but you had Danielson and Okada. There was a lot to like on that, and Collision, I feel like, is always a banger. This week, I thought Dynamite was one of the worst Dynamites we've had in a really long time, and now we have this real roller coaster in wrestling, just in general, and certainly under the AEW umbrella of late. Let's dive in here. Let's start off with, we get the Righteous against Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal. Christopher Daniels taking the pin here. Vincent picking up the win. This was perfectly decent. This kind of goes back to what divisions are people in, because we've had Christopher Daniels in singles competition. Matt Sydal's kind of been absent, and I've actually really loved this leg of his career since coming into AEW. I feel like he's gotten to do just some more grounded work. But the Righteous should win this. But I'm just like, hey, are Daniels and Sydal a tag team? They were gunning for TV title shots a while back. Never really paid it off. Matt Sydal kind of just went away, and he's here. We are starting to see some more consistency, though. So I hope that they are, because I actually really like them together. What did you think of our match here?
Yeah, perfectly fine match. Anytime I get to see Dutch hit the big boss man slam, then like, all right, like I'm good. I'll be satisfied with what's going on here. I did previously like the tag team of Daniels and Matt Sydal being together, and if they're gonna keep them in the tag division, I think that's perfectly fine. I like that the Righteous is still trying to tell the story of like they were screwed, they're still out for blood, they're still who they are. So a lot of things in this that were perfectly fine.
Perfectly fine is a perfect synopsis of our little episode here. One thing I have liked, though, is a reinvigorated Ethan Page, who's showing some layers in what's going on, which I like. I don't love what they did in the match, but I did like this promo. He's backstage, and we have Ethan Page saying that he's frustrated about what went down with Tony Nese last week. He's been trying to do things the right way in ROH, which I like. It's kind of like a nice way to acknowledge I was a heel and now I'm a face, but I'm not being blatant in calling that out. All Ego says instead of being an ROH World Television Champion, he has to face Josh Woods tonight, and he'll take his frustrations out on him. We'll circle back to that later. But any thoughts on just this promo? Kind of standard, but Ethan Page kind of makes things jump off the screen a little bit, even with more standard things like this, I feel.
Yeah, it was a really strong promo, but then like you said, what we got later in the show, I'm question mark on kind of the whole situation. I don't really understand what we got going on here. I'm like, I thought we were building this guy to be like a contender for the championship, but now it feels like Angelico's the one that they're going with next.
Ethan Page, really good. Josh Woods, great. Yes. How do you make me not like a match between them? We're going to get to, because this is the Kate Complains episode of our ROH post show. Normally that's a Tuesday gimmick, but you're getting all sorts of sour out of me today. But I do like Leyla Hirsch a whole heck of a lot. Leyla Hirsch locking in Robyn Renegade with the cross arm, which isn't surprising. This is how this should be booked. Leyla Hirsch always looks great in her viciousness of how she kind of locks in these submissions, but we have Rachael Ellering coming down to make the save after both of the Renegade twins jump Leyla after the match. And I thought this was actually a good use of the Renegade twins. There are two of them. We rarely see them together in situations that make sense. Rachael Ellering coming down to the ring is an interesting facet that we'll circle back to later. Let's just talk about it now, actually, because it wasn't that big of a deal. Yeah. Later in this episode, we see Rachael Ellering and Leyla Hirsch backstage kind of arguing about her involvement in things, and Rachael Ellering being forced to reintroduce herself and getting blown off by Leyla a little bit. Her saying, hey, I was there for you tonight because Maria Kanellis wasn't, basically. And Leyla saying, well, I'm going to make sure that's not the case moving forward. Maria will be here in the future. So they seem to be paying off this longer term story we've had with Leyla Hirsch, and that Maria is probably going to start managing her soon. What do you think of kind of the match and the post match, as well as this promo here?
A couple things. I really like that the Renegade twins are back. I think they're very tremendous. As I said multiple times on this podcast, the Hex are here. There's a couple tag teams. You know what I'm going to say? Yo, put these women in a tag team match, because there's some other women they could be in tag team matches with. But other than that, I think beyond anything, both of them, Robyn and Charlette, are just tremendously talented women in playing their roles. Like they know exactly what they need to do in every situation that they're put in. I think they do extremely well. I like the Leyla Hirsch character development that's happening here. There's some issues around the whole TV of Ring of Honor all the time, but the development of Leyla Hirsch as she's returned from her injury, from kind of like, I'm a badass, I don't need you, Maria, to I'm a badass, but maybe I do need you, Maria, I think has been a great transition. And Rachael Ellering, I think, has been going and playing a really good role being put into this position kind of quickly because, she has some history with the women Ring of Honor division, but she's still kind of new to the Honor Club thing, and being thrown in there and excelling so far, I think has been pretty fun.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a little bit too. I think she's done a really good job of, she kind of just got plopped into this scene as right. You mentioned. And she's done a really good job of assimilating in that regard. Guys, feel free to get in your super chats. Some more people are watching now than when we kicked off the show. So thank you so much for tuning in. We are a little cranky about ROH and very cranky about Ric Flair, but we're still having fun out here. We're having a good time. Feel free to get in those chats and to leave a thumbs up on this video, as well as subscribe to our YouTube if you are not. But it is kind of crazy. If you told me 3 years ago, Reg, that ROH and New Japan had some of the coolest women's wrestling on television, I would have laughed you out of the room. But this is Seriously. The landscape that we're in. It's pretty wild.
Especially New Japan. I would have been like, Kate, what are you saying to me? Leave me alone.
You're like, that's literally not a thing, Kate.
They tell me every day the opposite of that, but here we go. But no, seriously, this year, it's been such a long year. I saw Mercedes and Willow main event that New Japan show. Like that happened this year. It's like, how many great Athena main events have we seen? We see 4 women's matches, Ring of Honor shows almost on a weekly basis this time. It's like some of these things I would have been like, you're crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts how much things have kind of picked up in that regard, and places where it's tailed off, it's kind of kicking back up a little bit too. So some good things here. As cranky as I am, always encouraging to see great women's wrestling just across the landscape right now. Like keep your eyes on New Japan Strong if you like what ROH is at its core, because there's just some really cool stuff going on New Japan Strong. I've only been recently getting into it because I've been following
Trish, Julia and Trish facing off. Like, yo,
you want to talk about it for a second? You want to get some happiness into our lives?
Please, because that just made my heart do. Like knowing Julia was coming to America, that already was dope. And I haven't seen the match with Hine, but I'm sure it was amazing because both those women are great. Then afterwards, I'm seeing like she's talking about Trish, and Trish is here. I'm like, hey, yo, what's going on here? This is lit. This is amazing. This is great. You watched the show, didn't you, Kate?
I did. I did a watch along actually on my personal YouTube, just because the card looked so awesome. And then Lone Star Shootout, which is November 10th, also has a great card. You're getting Kojima versus Eddie Kingston, which I just love that so much.
Wow. Yeah.
Speedball versus ZSJ. You're getting this Julia versus.
Whoa! What'd you say?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Speedball versus Zack Sabre Jr.
What? I didn't even know this was announced. This is crazy.
We're gonna be having a good November. Of course, Speedball and Swerve just got announced too, right? So some really, really cool stuff happening. If you've been kind of bummed on the ROH product but are still following it or really like what it used to be, I'm getting those same feels from New Japan proper and Strong now, which is pretty cool. So not too bad bad when there's wrestling on every single night of the week, right?
Zack Sabre Jr. and Speedball Mike Bailey is just like, oh my god, what? That's crazy.
Right after Speedball and Ospreay too.
Like, Ospreay, you better get a couple in before the year's over, because Zack Sabre Jr. and Swerve
coming after it, man.
About to get that resume real good at the end there.
And Speedball too, like he's having his own great year with the same pool that's sharing everyone, man. And if Danielson's had 3 long-term injuries, and I'm like, you can still put him in your top 5 wrestlers of the year, and I couldn't argue.
Easily.
Like, it's ridiculous.
But shout out and prayers and all the things you needed to Bryan Danielson, because My heart. I
I
love him.
know.
He's the greatest pro wrestler of our generation. I've said it many a times. And I said last night on the post show, at the sacrifice of this, I'm good. Like if he's tomorrow was like, I'm good here, I'd be happy about it. Cause I don't want to keep having these great matches. And then afterwards it's like, well, Brian's hurt for blah, blah, blah. Don't seem worth it to me.
But it's such, it's such simple things every time for the most part. Like that's what's so nuts. Like when everybody was like, this is a work, I was like, I don't think it's a work when it's an orbital bone. Now we know the timing was a little bit different of what they said maybe, but like that's not something. If you work a broken arm, I can then go attack your broken arm in a match, right? You're not usually going after a broken orbital bone. So I was like, I don't think it's a work. But man, it's always on such simple stuff, it sounds like. So it's not like, oh, we're watching this great wrestler and he's aging and he doesn't have it anymore. It's like, no, he just keeps getting himself in these freak situations.
Freak accidents, the worst.
Man, we want to do everything but talk about ROH tonight, but we're going to continue to.
What are you having for dinner, Kate?
A side of New Japan Strong based on what we were just talking about. My God. Here's something that made no sense to me. Maybe it does. Maybe Darius Martin's leaving the Light Skin Coalition, but Darius Martin versus Lee Moriarty. Darius winning with the frog splash on Lee. I felt like we were setting up for Lee Johnson to join Shane Taylor Promotions. Darius doesn't feel like a fit to me, just from like a vibe standpoint. Like just purely on that, like doesn't seem like he's the guy. Feels a little redundant with, I guess not entirely, but a little bit redundant with like the moveset of a Lee Moriarty too, and just what you're looking for in a stable. I think you're generally trying to mix up statures and stuff, and I don't know if that's like the direction you want to go. But if they're not heading in that direction, I don't understand this booking at all. So I'm assuming that's maybe a piece of the story here. Any thoughts on this match and where you see Shane Taylor Promotions building?
Yeah, really fun match. Both these guys have had a match or two before, and they were looking forward to locking it up, and they did exactly what was needed here. I don't think Darius is going to leave the Light Skin Coalition. Like that's his home.
His thing.
So yeah, that's like, I was a little bit confused about this too, because like we've been telling a really good story with Lee Moriarty here in Shane Taylor Promotions, here in Ring of Honor, and just kind of tying everything together. I swear some of these matches they do draw out of a hat, like, you know what I mean? It's like some of them are like, yeah, we're gonna logically book everything, but I always harbor back to that Lady Frost and Trish Adora match that like came out, and it was like Trisha's on her way, and then here comes Lady Frost. It was like didn't make sense, and this kind of feels like that again.
Yeah, now where's Lady Frost even? Like
where's Lady Frost? I haven't seen her since that happened. So Darius shouldn't be in Shane Taylor Promotions. I liked what they were doing with Lee Johnson. I agree. Just off vibes, like, you know, he could totally make it work and it'll be the thing and we'll all like it. But like Light Skin Coalition's where it's at. And like, what's up with Dante? That's the homeboy. I hope he's doing well too.
I hope he's doing well too. I also thought about that. Like maybe they're trying to set up for Darius and Dante versus Shane Taylor and Lee. That could be really, really fun. Okay. But even then, I think Lee would go over in this because his brother would need to come in and make the save. I don't know how close he is to ready at all. So I don't like to speculate on injuries, but I miss him. He's a phenomenal athlete, that Dante Martin. So it would be nice to have him back. Hey, here's my least favorite thing in the whole wide world ever in the whole night. Not ever in the whole world. Not even the worst part of the day, to be honest. But my least favorite part of the episode was this Ethan Page and Josh Woods match. And I know you're thinking, but Kate, you never shut up about these two, like, ever. How is this possible? Let me explain to you how. Ethan Page has this match won with a roll-up, I say. He has it won. But there's a distraction from Mark Sterling. Tony Nese gets involved here, and they roll up Josh Woods. What? I'm sorry, they don't roll up Josh Woods. They roll up Ethan Page on behalf of Josh Woods, who is... We saw him, like, just beating the ever-loving hell out of people week after week. Why does he need 2 nerds help for a roll-up on Ethan Page here? And why isn't he going after Shibata? And why is the technical beast made to look like a chump? And I need Mark Sterling's help. What the hell are we doing? This was like the one guy that was on a trajectory. The one guy, and I adore him. I love Josh Woods. I love his work. I think he is so skilled. I feel like we've just scratched the surface of what we could do with him. We're finally starting to sink our teeth into something. And we have these 2 dorks, one who's a fitness trainer, but both dorks, coming in to get the roll up on Ethan Page. Come on.
Matthew Hooks, he does need help here. It seems like Ethan Page is needing some help. So,
Scorpio Sky.
I mean, he needs help. He keeps getting in these situations and losing when he should have been there.
I keep saying that I want an Ethan Page heel turn just because I think he works better as a heel. So I would like for these frustrations to send him down a path of anger. But you could sell me on getting Men of the Year back together, that's for sure. We also haven't seen Scorpio Sky around in a while because who knows where everybody is. But
he may have ended at one of these episodes a few weeks ago, and we haven't seen him since. Why do they do that?
Just to get under our skin, Edge. Just to annoy you and me. Just a personal attack. They were like, we're going to announce this Ric Flair news. Kate's going to be whining about it all day on Twitter, like a whiny whiner who whines a lot. So just to shut her up about that for 2 minutes, you know what we're going to do? Have Ethan Page lose in a roll-up with the help of 2 nerds from Josh Woods. That's what happened. It was a personal attack on both of us.
Well, at least it's November, and speaking of roll up, were you rolled up in a nice blanket with a pumpkin spice latte and your Ugg boots when you heard about this Ric Flair?
Nick Flair. I've been calling him Nick Flair. So, and despite your personal attack, no, I wasn't. I had my vegan pumpkin spice latte earlier in the day, and I don't own Ugg boots. But I was in really cozy white girl slippers. So
same thing.
You are half right about that, and I'm uncomfortable with that. So we're gonna move along.
Saying Googles. It's all the same. Oh no, I didn't have Ugg boots. I just had Ugg-like boots.
Down, man.
And I didn't add vegan onto your latte. Sorry.
Listen. Do I have vegan alternative Ugg boots? Yeah, I do. They're comfortable and they're warm and they're cute. Come at me. I'm basic.
It's autumn. It's your favorite time of year.
It is autumn. I like it. And you know what? When I walk my dogs, I step on every crunchy leaf I can, you son of a bitch. How about that? How about that, Reg?
Every crunchy leaf. Every time you step on a leaf, an Instagram post just pops up for some reason. Wait, where did that come from?
Come on, you know it's satisfying as hell to step on when you get like a good crunchy leaf. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Y'all come after the basicness, which it is, but sometimes it becomes basic because it's really fucking good. All right.
Right. Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Moving along to Angelico, Gringo, Loco, Metalik, and Slim J for a 4-way. Angelico getting a mousetrap pin on Slim J for the win and the pinfall. Angelico continuing to look strong. I love a good mousetrap pin, I gotta say. Underrated move in general. Angelico's looks great. I missed a lot of this because on top of all of my frustrations today, Honor Club was like, you need to subscribe. Like, kicked me out. And I was like, I am subscribed. And then I was like, maybe my credit card's being weird. So I go to subscribe and it was like, you're already subscribed. And I was like, what do you want from me? Did you revoke my privileges to Honor Club because I was complaining online? But I missed a lot of this match. I did get to see the end of this. Your thoughts on our match here?
Kate, this is how I knew that this episode was going crazy, because they gave a Righteous Red Spot Food invitational match, and I was like, so And like a bunch of cool things happened, and I was like,
You're like,
you guys keep last week you gave me one, you're gonna give me one next week. You gave me one 3 weeks ago. Like, I love it, but like there has to be something, you guys. As someone who watches a lot of wrestling matches just for the sake of wrestling matches, I like them all the time. But when it's Ring of Honor and there needs to be something to build to, it's can be an overkill, you guys. That's it. I love wrestling matches. They're great. I love spot food, but like 20 spot foods in a row and you're not developing anything for Gringo Loco or whatever, like what's the point?
Yeah. This is where it would help to have your titles around, for one. And two, there are no luchadors that are in actual storylines anywhere on ROH, and not really in AEW too much either. It's all, and I love the acrobatic nature of things, and I can enjoy a spot food fest. I'm not an advocate for it in the same way that you are, but I enjoy matches like this. But like, none of them are in storylines. Like, help me help you, man. I will say, and Angelico continuing to look good is good, though. Seems like we're building to a title shot for him. So I appreciate about that. And a fun mix of who was in this, too. Like, Gringo Loco's so great in a match like this. And Angelico kind of having a really, like, versatile style that's still kind of anchored, I think, is helpful in things like this. So you got your spot food, but it wasn't all chaos all the time. There was some good grounding in the limited amount that I saw.
Correct.
We get Sanjay Dutt backstage. He is pleading his case for Jay Lethal against Eddie Kingston and becoming the new ROH heavyweight champ. Stokely, who had a promo earlier in the show that I forgot to mention, he said that Eddie Kingston was suspended to kick off the show. He is here and puts over what Dutt and his teammates did to Eddie Kingston on Collision. Stokely continuing with his extremely biased agenda. And Sanjay wants to know when Lethal is getting his title shot. And Stokely says he'll have his assistant email him about it and tries to run away. But Sanjay follows him. Sanjay and Stokely have really good chemistry. They're really fun together. But like, no.
Yeah.
Nah, not what I want out of my Eddie Kingston title reign, but okay. I mean, Jay Lethal can go in the ring. I don't feel like and Eddie Kingston, man, that promo that he cut on Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal was incredible. Like, he did some incredible work in the calling Sanjay his lapdog, Jeff Jarrett's lapdog, and saying that he's gonna beat Jay Lethal in front of Jay's mom, and she'll be crying not because Eddie Kingston's beating her, but because she knows he deserves it. Like, what? He did some really, really good work in that. So I'll never underestimate Eddie Kingston's ability to sell me into anything. I just don't want that to be like the guy that dethrones Eddie. So I'm not feeling like, all right, let's go about this. Any thoughts on your end?
You're nervous about Jay Lethal beating him. That's not gonna happen, Kay. You can have another concern in this. That's your concern. That doesn't need to be a concern.
No, I'm not. Here. I'm not overly concerned about that. I just, I just don't want to see it that much. Like,
you're just not a big Jay Lethal fan, even though you like New Jersey and all that. I get it. No, I understand. I get it.
I don't like this stable. Like, I actually really enjoy Jay Lethal in the ring, other than his absurd finisher. But
I know how big of a Jeff Jarrett fan you are.
The biggest. Love it. My favorite. I love overbooking so much. But I think that's what it is. Because, like, I'm sure when the bell rings, I'll be into it. But I just haven't been excited about anything Jay Lethal's done since Ricky Starks countered his finisher like a year and a half ago. So I don't.
That was tight, though.
That was really cool.
But yeah, I'm with the homie Shane Monster here. Stokely's here, so we're good. We've been asking about Stokely for weeks and weeks and weeks, and here he is, finally in all his glory. Just let this man do this. It's not that hard. Give him a mic, have him backstage with somebody being silly. He was talking about like an Angel Fire email for Sanjay. Like, yeah, him and Sanjay are really. Sanjay's like, I didn't give you my email. was a really
So
good
good.
promo.
They're really fun together. Like they just had really good chemistry on screen. So that is true. Shea Monster saying, hey, there's Stoke. It's true. We asked this week over week. So good to see. I like that he has agenda with everybody. Like he has an agenda with Samoa Joe. He has an agenda with Eddie Kingston. Like it is fun to see him passive aggressively kind of narrow in on stuff.
Why would you have agendas with such bad mother effers? I don't get it.
It does seem like his aim is a bit off in who he chooses to pick fights.
I guess because he's a bad mother effer. That makes sense, honestly.
And he's like, I mean, he's taller than
the company you keep, Kate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, I don't know, he's what, 6'8", so
yeah, he's these are little guys to him.
Yeah, he can looks down their nose at them. So, well, we mentioned Rachael Ellering earlier. We have her in action here against LMK, hitting the Big Boss Woman Slam for the win. She's looked really, really good early on in ROH here. This was a perfectly suitable match. Nice to see her getting some consistent reps. Nice to see wins being indicative of who's important. A little confused about like the Trisha Doras and the Lady Frost of the world, but this was perfectly good. This was a perfectly suitable match for where it was in the card. Love my ass kicking ladies on television. What did you think?
Yeah, this is very serviceable. That's the homegirl. What's her name? Lil Mean Kathleen.
She's we love her. Her personality is amazing. She's great.
She played a really good role here. Nice bumps. Just playing that Lil Mean Kathleen thing to Rachael Ellering, who I like what they're doing with her character, making her look kind of strong, powerful, just like a badass, second generation wrestler that's here to show kind of a veteran status that a lot of these women's wrestlers haven't encountered yet. They have her in there. They're giving her promos. They're giving her time. So I'm happy that they're investing in another woman potentially to be next up for Athena's reign. Spoiler alert.
Agree. And even just who to mix it up with on the way to get there. Like, I want to see Rachael Ellering and Kiera Hogan. I want to see Rachael Ellering versus Leyla Hirsch. Like, there are just some really unique women's wrestlers. Like they all can go in the ring.
Nice
right
mix.
Now and it's fun. It is a very nice mix. It's a very nice mix. So good stuff there. Stay tuned. In about a half hour, you will have the Impact crew coming on. Bound for Glory was excellent. Really healthy stuff happening on the Impact brand. Wish I could say the same here, but so cranky today. Really good stuff. Cresta and Joel will bring you a fantastic post show. They're such a fun duo, running down everything in Impact for you. They're on their UK tour, I believe, already. So some great stuff happening with the Impact brand. Keep an ear and an eye out for that. If you can't follow it like I can't because I'm doing this while that show is on, stay tuned for them. They will keep you up to speed on everything. Also, feel free to get in your super chats if there's anything you want to talk about regarding tonight's show, or I don't know, any of the other breaking news that's happened. If you need more breaking news, well, darn it, we've got more of it on FightfulSelect.com. Head over there. Not only will you get what I'm sure will be updates about the Ric Flair stuff, but you had updates on Drew McIntyre's contract. You had, you're going to have a lot more of that in 2024. A lot of contract news coming down the pike. Some updates on Warner Brothers as well. There's a lot more fun to be had on FightfulSelect.com. So head over there and subscribe if you haven't already. But back in ROH land, we have the Gates of Agony, of course, with Prince Nana, defeating the Infantry, Iron Savages, and the Wingmen, Ryan Nemeth and Peter Avalon. Kaun pins the love of my life, Peter Avalon, for the pinfall. Now, this is realistically what Peter Avalon's there to do in this match, right?
Yeah.
So much personality jumping off the screen. Such a blast. Why Bishop Kaun is in a tag match when he won the trios titles yesterday. I know what the taping schedule is. I know they are trios titles holders. Brian Cage has been all over the place and also nowhere of recent. Like, I don't understand what the picture is with the Mogul Embassy, what Brian Cage's role is in AEW ROH still. I think from a character perspective, it's much better. But like, are we just going back to the 6-man titles? And you also, by having this incredibly weird Hung Bucks reign, cut the legs out from underneath what would have been a record-setting title reign with the 6-man belts by this group. I think their intentions were probably to hold it till Final Battle. Maybe they realized that ROH is completely starved, or maybe they can't work Final Battle, but maybe they're like, ROH is starved for titles. Either way, that was one of the least sensible moves that they could have made, is putting it on guys who don't work Saturdays. And I don't think it drove any eyeballs to anything. If you're not going to have it drop in a meaningful way, I think it was just a terrible, terrible use of these titles. Not sure what they're doing here in the tag division if they are 6-man champions, but a good match nonetheless. Nice to see the Iron Savages also laying in against people like Gates of Agony. Like, when they can go full force with other big boys, it's a lot of fun. Really liked this match. Justice for the Infantry, because MJF's still sabotaging their booking. But what were your thoughts on what we got here?
This was maybe my second favorite match of the show. I like all these tag teams in there. The Infantry, of course, are my homeboys. Iron Savages are wild. They're still going with this put your ass in there. Whatever they're talking about on there is crazy every time. I'm always like, what are y'all talking about? And, Peter Avalon, I'm a big fan of that guy. I like to see him in positions like this. Gates of Agony are a very interesting thing, as we've seen here. They've been on a roller coasters of things. They've been up for most of their run here in Ring of Honor. They love squashing people. That's kind of their thing. There were some fun spots here in the match where Iron Savages were going to do a super cannonball or something, and Toa cut him off, and it looks really brutal. And I mean, that's just the Gates of Agony's deal here, is they beat people up and it looks cool, but nobody ever really gets up on them. Like, even when they lost the Trios Championships, it was like on a fluke type thing. So I kind of like to see somebody get something against them, some kind of offense, some kind of one up, some kind of, you think that there's somebody against them. I love the gimmick of them squashing, but eventually it has to end. But beyond that, this was a really fun tag match. A lot of times it's hard to kind of book a match like this with so much going on. Why in a tag match are two allowed in the ring? They switch the rules and things around for different matches, and it can get frustrating. But I thought for most part this was really fun stuff here. We need the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships back involved. This would have made a lot more sense if that was looming over everybody's head. This just felt like a tag match to get 4 teams on the show.
That is exactly what it felt like. That is a frustrating thing, and that's part. I'm glad the Hung Bucks lost the trios titles, because maybe they'll at least be something around. Eddie Kingston's suspended. Haven't seen the TV title in forever. We just need champions on the show. It's as fundamental as that, man. Fundamental as
you just named a bunch of people that have defended their championships, but not on Ring of. Like, we saw Joe defend his belt recently. Like, he defends it pretty often, actually.
Yeah.
Just not here.
Different show. And he was on ROH for a little bit too. Like, he was around a little bit more frequently, but yeah, very frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, your favorite in the whole wide world, Action Andretti, and Nick Comoroto and Lee Johnson here. And what I thought actually was a very fun match. Yeah. Nick Comoroto has really just like flipped the page on everything he was doing. And I don't think we really got to see his personality before, which happens sometimes when you're in a stable. And Lee Johnson, we've talked about it week over week. Like, this guy has really thrived, and he's obviously putting in the work because it is showing up in matches. But Action Andretti getting Comoroto with the schoolboy here. Rare instance where I don't mind the schoolboy. I find them frustrating a lot of times, but somebody about Action Andretti's stature versus someone like Nick Comoroto and the way this one was done, not bad for a schoolboy roll up. What did you think of this little this match that we got?
Yeah, shout out to Nick Comoroto. He got over. The crowd was wanting him to win at one point. He had the homie locked up in a front face lock, and then he hit the press slam with one arm, which was like very pretty nuts. Impressive. He got the crowd like on his side. They were like, we want this guy to win. And for a while, Kate, he's been in AEW Ring of Honor for a while,
Yes.
and he was just kind of a guy. But this, like, even when his entrance started, I was like, okay, something feels different about Nick Comoroto. And then for him to get the crowd like that, pretty impressive stuff all around. Lee Johnson, I think, is on a good trajectory. Again, I still think they should get him back to the Shane Taylor promotions. But,
Agreed.
Action Andretti, that kind of leads me to believe, I guess, because those two kind of matches intertwine, I guess, with the earlier Darius and Lee Moriarty, and then Action and Lee Johnson. They all kind of like are in this thing. So maybe they're trying to tie the story together that way, which I think is kind of cool. They're telling some sub stories. Another fine, serviceable match.
Agreed. And a good point with the kind of cross connections in the episode. I hadn't thought about that, but well played, Reg. You're making more sense than they are at the time. Yes. We get Kiera Hogan and Charlette Renegade with Robyn Renegade there, of course. Nice to see Kiera Hogan back in action after a couple weeks where I think we hadn't gotten to see her. Man, I love her fisherman suplex, which she wins with here. I'm really glad to see her getting some reps because she's great, and she was just kind of tucked away and got a little lost in the baddie stuff, but she's really been breaking out here ever since her storyline with Athena. What were your thoughts on this?
I think that Kiera is such a strong personality that anytime that she gets lost in the shuffle, it always confuses me because I'm like, yo, she can do so many really good things. I think back to her WoW run where like I think she really shined in that position, and then the Impact stuff that she did with
great in Impact.
Tasha Steelz was so good. Like there's so much that she can do, and I'm like, if they let her do that, we're gonna have a superstar here. And there's flashes of moments like today that I just hope that they continue. And again, Renegade Twins, they're awesome. Put them in a tag match. I'm in.
Agreed with you on all of that. We got some more people joining in. Thanks for hopping on. I'm sure some of you are looking for that Impact post show, which will be coming around the corner. We've got a couple more matches to talk about here. Some more super chat love from you guys. Thank you so much. A lot of love for the main event, which we're going to talk about very shortly. We've got a couple more matches here. But Meadorm was chiming in with his dinner, which I always love. I made smoked jerk chicken and portobello linguine and a Jamaican jerk Alfredo sauce.
Ooh.
Dalton Castle needs a title. He shows up and he shows out every week. Well, let's talk about Dalton Castle and the boys because they are great. They team with Gravity for reasons here, I guess because he was the one luchador not in the match earlier. I don't know. They defeat the Workhorsemen and Griff Garrison and Cole Carter. Dalton Castle hitting a bang ring always looks great.
Yep, especially on a big guy like that.
Hitting a bang ring on GD Drake. Holy crap. Good for Dalton Castle. He comes out looking so strong in this. Gosh, what else can we say about Dalton Castle other than what we say every week, that he is such a lively injection in these quieter episodes where it doesn't feel like there's a whole heck of a lot going on. In a brand where most people are more wrestling focused than character focused, it's really fun to have someone that's a little bit wacky in this. Really, really, really like having him around. He's such a great, great personality to have. And as he showed tonight, a great worker. Decent enough match. Another one that kind of just happened for reasons because we don't have titles around. But what were your thoughts on what we got tonight?
We need titles around. That's pretty much where I'm landing with this. It feels like somebody mentioned rankings in the comments earlier, and that would just save this show so much. If that was that little bit of importance put on this show, things would change so
drastically
much, Kate. And I hope that something like that happens because it doesn't have to affect AEW. It doesn't have to change anything. It'll just really help this show right here. That's it, man. We need championships. It's getting frustrating because they defend them on other shows.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even have a problem with them defending them on other shows if they were also here ever. I mean, they are just literally never here. So I don't even hate the idea. I get the business sense behind, well, we want to get more eyes on ROH. Okay. And then when those eyes go to ROH, what do they have to watch? What are we doing? We got some more chat love coming in. Thank you so much. Will saying, Reg, why they had Big Home acting like he was scared of the Big Show, whose knees cannot move. I'm already in a bad mood with AEW. Saying, hey, we got Ick Flair. I'm calling him that. And if they make Big Show KO punch Will Hobbs right now, I'm quitting AEW. Your thoughts?
You and me both, brother. If Will Powerhouse Hobbs is knocked out by the Big Show, I'm out of here, you guys. I'm capping. I'm not out of here. But I just think on the bright side, Kate, I'm going to think on the bright side. My big homie's going to be in a match with Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi. That's all I'm thinking about. I don't care who else is in there. He's going to be in there with those two guys, and that's all I care about. Bow-legged Big Show did get me a little bit crazy. I was like, yo, my homie, I don't know if it's time for this, but I get it. We're grand wishes this month.
It's not my wishes, I promise you that. But I will say, if this is like a Big Show retirement match or feud, if he goes out to Will Hobbs, I think that's a really cool, like, passing of the torch to the big man kind of thing. Because I don't know if Will Hobbs can do it, but if he can get that man up for a spine buster, that's going to be one of the most memorable moments that you can have. So I am with you on that side of the coin. We got some more women's wrestling love coming in, which I thank you guys so much for. We're going to talk about our main event in a second here. But before we do, Matthew Hooks mentioning the Revolver main event, Rousey and Shafir versus Athena and Starks. Like, I know people have a split thought on Ronda Rousey, and I completely get any issues that you would have with her, whether it's
valid.
Totally valid. Mm-hmm. I think it's very cool that after her WWE contract went up, her next wrestling appearances were nowhere on television, and that this is for a charity cause is really cool, because even though the hardcore wrestling fans don't really like her, she still gets a lot of eyes on things, and I think she's going to get some money in. So that whole card, by the way, is looking out to be something really great. Pro Wrestling Revolver doing some really, really great work. The proceeds are going to Hawaii for the disaster relief there. So whether you're into Ronda Rousey or justifiably not, I think it's a cool move that she's made and that the show has made for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at the graphic right now. It's real. Tag team dream match, Ronda Marina versus Athena and Starks. It's the main event of that show. November 16th. It's a full gear AEW weekend. It's very smart. They're using a lot of AEW contracted talent, a lot of Impact contracted talent. There'll be a lot of people there in LA for this Thursday show. And this is going to set it off even more. Just like Kate said, you can feel how you want to feel about Ronda Rousey, but she brings a lot of eyes, a lot of ears, a lot of stuff to where she's going to be at. And if this for a good cause, like, that's all that really matters here.
Agreed. Let's think about where all the good stuff is going. So that'll be a whole bunch of fun. And just also cool for, like, women's wrestling to be the ones main eventing a really, really sick card.
Shout out to Billy Starks getting this crazy opportunity. She's about to be in there with Ronda Rousey, and she's only an 18-year-old.
For real. And we get to talk about her right now and her heelish behavior.
Wow.
So this is where all the chats come in from, you guys, and I love it. Chad,
you were at this match, Kate? Were you there?
Was I there? No, because I wasn't at Collision. I was only at Dynamite.
Oh, okay. That's right.
But a lot of love for this. Glassdoor Gamer, thanks for chiming in. I think you are newer around here, at least for the shows I'm on, saying I think TK needs to copy and paste the Athena Starks feud on Dynamite. It's literally perfect. I wish they would do the tapings in Orlando again. I am so with you on the Orlando tapings. And we're going to come back to your other point in just a second. But we got some more love coming in this way. This is where I miss Luis. He kept all these chats straight for me. He kept them straight. RH saying, always great to see Reg and Kate talking ROH. Thank you so much. Also, Athena is ROH. Do either of you think she will be holding both ROH and AEW gold in the next year? That's a really good question. I hadn't considered both. I feel like not, because we're so deep into this reign that to extend it and have her build up to win an AEW title at the same time that would be the ultimate dominance, which is pretty cool. But I think you want to kind of cash in on where she's at now with ROH sooner than later, Reg.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't see her holding both. I could see her holding If you mean both by like she loses the Ring of Honor championships, transitions up there, then wins, then yes, I agree. But at the same time, I couldn't see that. Most of all, I just hope because it's time like she deserves to get a good run up top on the main roster because she's been carrying this brand, this division for the entire Honor Club run. So that's all it really is.
Agreed. And I could also see her winning in AEW and then coming back to ROH for a short stint and winning.
Right.
Like not out of this reign, but holding both at the same time, coming in for an ROH run that's shorter again, just because she's been so fundamental in nailing this piece of it down.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, I think we're getting Athena and Billy versus Marina and Rousey at Wrestle Revolver in LA.
Mm-hmm.
WR looks like the TNA versus AEW ROH Forbidden Door now. It is wild how much great wrestling is happening. God, we were like organically talking about New Japan Strong earlier. Never mind what's happening on the indies. You've got Pro Wrestling Revolver. You've got GCW, obviously. There's so many great indies right now that are absolutely killing it. Obviously, some clown shoes too, but some really, really great independents right now. Some really, really good ones though. What are your thoughts? Well, let's talk about this match first too, because it was really, really great, and then we'll kind of circle back to what we got here. But we have Athena successfully defending in a hard-hitting match. A lot of callbacks to the ways that her Mercedes had fought before. Mercedes with a couple of really great near falls in this, a couple of really great ways out of Mercedes submission in this as well for Athena. Like this is the only time we've seen Athena kind of, I don't want to say struggle because she didn't struggle, but you actually felt like she was in peril, probably because a little bit of the loss last week. And then Billy Starks at the end, Reg.
Wow.
With the title.
Couldn't believe it.
Taking Mercedes out. And in a show of respect, kneeling and holding the title up. Not our sweet baby girl, Billy Starks, defecting here. My God. What a match, though. This felt like a main event. It was a main event. The only bummer of this is this was clearly taped post collision because there were like 8 people in the front row. And it's such a vibe killer. It's such a vibe killer. It's such a great match and nobody's there to like see it, and the people who are there are a little bit tired, but the match itself was fantastic. I love how strong Mercedes has looked. I love the way that this angle has come together, but our sweet Billy girl turned into the dark side here. What are your thoughts on the match and where this post-match story is going?
The match was perfect, magnifique, all the things you could say about it. Both ladies worked extremely hard. It was a fight more than a wrestling match. Mercedes, I think, kind of building up to this match in the feud was saying like, I'm about to go in there and beat this person up. She's been scared of me for a long time and I'm about to show y'all why. Athena, I think number one thing in this match was her selling. It was so just like good. Everything, every move that she took, every angle that everything that she was a part of, like the selling was so strong. When she removed the top turnbuckle and the way that she hit her neck and the sell into the Fisherman's Buster and all that was like so good. Athena is just it feels like a broken record. She's so great at wrestling, being in all the positions you need to be in, being a big match wrestler. That suplex off the guardrail was nasty. The way that she just carries herself in all of this, the way that she's carried herself throughout all of this has been like, she really took what they said about her and shoved it down their throats. She's an amazing wrestler that carried an entire brand. And to cap this off, I thought was great. The Billy Starks thing surprised me. So I think that it accomplished exactly what it needed to. I didn't really understand why the camera felt kind of weird at the end, the way that they were like revealed her and stuff. Like they could have did that a little bit better, but I did like what they did at the end. And it looks really fun. The funniest part is like how tall Billy Starks is, because like she kneeled.
She is, yeah.
Athena got her up, and I'm like, damn, she's tall as hell.
She is. No, I thought the same thing. Even when she was kneeling, I was like, oh, she's got really long limbs.
She's not done growing, Kate.
I know she's still got ways to go, probably. Dang, but I agree with you. I love with Athena, it felt like she and Mercedes went in there for a fight, and you're right, because it felt like I feel like with Athena, we see something different present itself in all of these matches that show us how great she is, whether it's the aggression, whether it's how she can meet someone in a more acrobatic style, because that's what she kind of started off with, or in your case here, the selling was fantastic in this. Like, everything that Mercedes laid in, she sold the hell out of those submissions. And it was so crucial to the story because she had to make us think in this incredibly dominant run that she actually needed Billy's help at some point. So commentary, of course, we put it over every week, but also doing a great job of noting that Billy was absent, which I thought was really cool. I loved Ian making it feel like a big fight field down the stretch. He was like losing his mind, like almost Michael Cole style. He's like yelling and going crazy, because I was kind of going crazy too. This match was so much fun. So to the point before in the super chat, before we bring in Joel and Cresta for your Impact post show, there were 2 points I wanted to circle back on. One was the template that they're using for the storytelling in this, which I gotta say I have to give a ton of kudos to as well, because this relationship between Billy and Athena has shown a very dominant Athena's silly side and Billy now getting pulled into a more serious side. The way that they've pulled Mercedes back into this and Diamante has been so good. I would love to see extensive programs like this built out in the women's division in AEW as well. And I also just want to say, I'll put myself over a little bit in this too, because I did a review of one of my favorite tag matches of the year was Samoa Joe and Zack Sabre Jr. versus Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal. And I loved it because all 4 men had stakes in it. And the can you coexist trope normally sucks. And it was perfect in this. And we never see that. This has had the same elements where it feels like everybody involved is fighting for something. And I was also watching that match, which was in Orlando. And to the point earlier about missing the Orlando tapings, God, there's such a difference when a crowd comes to see ROH versus Collision leftovers. I really wish they would get back to it. If you can afford Ick Flair, you can afford to set up camp back in Orlando. Just saying. But those were kind of my final thoughts on that. Any thoughts about where this story goes before we bring Joel and Cresta on?
It's looking like it's gonna lead to Billy Starks maybe being the one to do that thing. What's the way to really get under Athena's skin, get her off her game, and be able to beat her for that championship? Join her. Think that that she converted. You think that everything that she did worked, and then you get her in the end.
I'm with you. I think this leads to a very cool moment of Billy Starks probably being your next ROH Women's Champion. Let's bring on Joel and the beautiful, more beautiful by the day, Cresta Star. My goodness, look at you tonight.
I was feeling cosmic, so I decided to talk wrestling.
I love it. I love it. Look at you. And hi,
What's
Joel.
up,
You
everybody?
look beautiful too. You look so pretty.
Damn.
I don't have a splitting headache anymore, so I got that going for me.
That's great for you. How was Impact?
It was short.
It was short. After a clip show last week?
No, so it felt short because, listen, man, they're spinning their wheels. There's a special tomorrow that was already taped. Nothing matters until January.
Everyone's on vacation already.
Yeah, everyone's they're gonna come to Toronto next week and do IPWF, which is like their throwback. Nothing is canon, and we're gonna take that week off probably because nothing to talk about. And then they come back to Toronto at the end of December, the beginning of December, and they're going to run another Impact special. And it's probably going to have no bearing on anything because Hard to Kill already has their 2 major matches announced. And that's Jordan Grace and Trinity for the Knockouts title, and Moose and Shelley, who's injured right now, by the way, for the Impact World Championship. So lots going on.
Lots of nothing going on. It sounds like you're buying some time a little bit.
And they're taking as many victory laps as they can about the TNA thing, which fine, cool. They should. And I am looking at options to go to Vegas for Hard to Kill because I want to see that. To me, that feels like some TNA history, some Impact history that I probably wouldn't get to see in my lifetime. So maybe I would do that. But yeah, they're hitting that hard.
Reg just
I
in
say
Vegas.
that we should all do
Let's
a
go.
Fightful meetup in Vegas. Sean Ross Sapp, book it, you coward.
He ain't doing shit for that, and I can tell you why. Listen, Impact's been very good to Jeremy and I when it comes to offering us talent for In the Weeds. In-person interviews, they're
Don't get me
rare when it
started.
comes to that. So I'm
Yeah,
trying.
they're like
He
they're
leaves
on and off with dating us. It's like Rachael and Ross, you know what I mean? Like they just
the
like, keep going
homeboy
away,
leaves
coming back to each
Phil
other.
and I on red very often. We're like, hey, big Impact show coming up. We'd love to help you out and interview some wrestlers. And they're like, who are you?
We
Like,
don't
all
need
right.
your stinking help.
No, seriously. And I'm like, okay.
I just, you know what I did one time? When GCW came to Toronto, they had a bunch of Impact talent, and I just cornered them. They were actually, I didn't even have to corner them. They were brought over to me by one of the wrestlers and said, yeah, he's cool. Go talk to him. And they were like, all right. And that's how I got chats with Speedball and Masha, and like nobody batted an eyelash.
I will I'll give you a helpful hint offline, Reg, about booking some Impact talent. But in ROH world,
Yes.
Athena was great. The rest of the show was mid.
Really?
Athena's
Main
always
main
good.
event
She's
was hot.
superb.
The rest of it was not.
No.
You guys talk about the trios titles, the 6-man, if they're going to get defended on the show.
We did. We talked about that a little bit. We were like, woo, you know?
So the consensus, no.
Well, the new 6-man champions were in a tag match tonight, just to share how cohesive everything is. So,
Sounds good.
Yeah.
You know who can bring all of this together? I am not going to say it because I'm not going to say it.
See ya.
Yeah.
Kate's like, I've had it. I don't want any more of this. This place sucks.
Yeah.
I'm good with the Ick Flair discourse, but
I was gonna say on that note, woo!
we will get out of here and let you do your thing. We got a lot of chats tonight, so just thank you so much for everybody that helped us out today, and we're happy to throw it over to the Impact crew.
Hey, that's
Learn
us.
about what happened on Impact tonight.
Oh my goodness, that's us.
That's us. Oh wow.
What do we do?
Amscray.
Okay.
Flee.
Everybody leave. Okay, I gotta fix my camera because it's that one. I haven't been here in a while, so I'm like really confused.
Yeah, I finally left Sean
Yeah.
Ross Sapp's basement and I'm home.
How's that? How's home?
I don't know these people.
Well, I know the feeling.
Who are
Okay.
these people? I don't know any of them.
I know that none of our Fightful people who use the StreamYard watch us, but I'm going to let you in on the secrets. If you have access, there's a starred section in the chat. This isn't going to be on the audio, so like here's the exclusive. In the starred section, unstar the super chats, and that way you know you've read them, and that way I don't have to do it.
You know what? That is super smart.
It's very easy.
This man is a genius. That's free tech. Some people charge you $400 for that. So, you know, there you go. Give it away the game for free. The biggest heel in the business, Joe Pro.
The tech tips, man. We got it. I am the tech tips, man. Anyway, hi, Cresta.
Hi, how are you, Joel? How's everything?
Things are okay. It's been a busy week, and you and I haven't spoken since Bound for Glory.
That was like literally 2 weeks ago. Holy cow.
Yeah, man. We took last week off because they ran a clip show, and we were just like, no, not happening. But hey, you know what? If people were watching, then that's great. Otherwise, this is we're going to talk about it in a minute, but it was a very strange episode in terms of canon for Impact for me because they taped in Glasgow this past weekend, and then they think it was Thursday they taped Glasgow, and then the next night was Coventry for Turning Point.
Oh,
and that
wow.
was Friday. Meanwhile, they have 2 weeks of Chicago from the night after Bound for Glory in the can, and they're starting to talk about those airings. It's very strange.
I mean, I'm not going to hold you out of all this show. The main event was fantastic. The wrestling was fine. But
great.
I got a big pop seeing or hearing more of Joe Hendry cut a promo on Simon Miller. That popped the crap out of me, and I do not care.
Well, let's do the whole thing. Let's do the audio here. Here we go. Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful.com. It is what is it? Thursday, November 2nd, 2023. And it's time for your Impact Wrestling post show. I'm out of practice. I'm also at Joel Pearl, and I'm joined by the one, the only, the star, the megastar, not LA Knight. Yeah, but instead it's Cresta the Star. How you doing, Cresta Star?
Cresta the Star. Hi, it's me. What's up, yo? I missed this. I forgot that it was literally 2 weeks, and I'm so excited to talk about wrestling.
Yeah, me too. Tonight there was a solid show for Impact. They had the tapings from Glasgow that they then brought into tomorrow night's Turning Point. By the way, we will be doing a post show after Turning Point here on youtube.com/Fightful for all those who want to talk about Will Ospreay and Edward Edwards, among other things. We're going to talk about that. We'll probably give some predictions going. Actually, we probably shouldn't give some predictions for Turning Point because the show already happened, and I can.
Oh, you have spoilers. I am queen of. I don't look at it. I like to be surprised.
Okay, so you know what? I will read the matches to you. You will give me your thoughts because I already know what happened because I am that guy. I like to keep up, and that's what I do. So
you're a professional.
I'm a something. I don't know if professional is the word that I would use, but I exist. Anyway, speaking of existing, you can leave a thumbs up here on the video, and of course, subscribe to us here, youtube.com/Fightful, and donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air, and your Humper Chats over humperchats.com. Tell them about it, Cresta, please.
You take your fingers if you're on your keyboard, or your thumbs if you are on your phone or your mobile device. I don't judge. Go over to humperchats.com. You leave your comment like, hey, Cresta, Joel, what was your favorite thing about Turning Point coming up tomorrow, or whatever? You leave that, your dollar amount. We get to keep a little bit more. I'm happy. You're happy. Sean's happy. The Decepticons are happy. Humperchats.com. Yay.
I'm just trying to get to Hard to Kill. That's all I'm trying to do.
I'm just trying to stay alive.
I know how you feel. Listen, man, big city living. That's how it is. I see people in the chat saying that they were at the Glasgow tapings and the Turning Point. Both shows were incredible.
Yes.
I have to say, not only was the show a lot of fun to watch because of the UK flavor, because usually the UK crowds bring something special, but also, I mentioned this on Twitter, the way that they shot it. They had the traditional hard cam, that's cool, but then they also brought in the roaming cameras at ringside, and they were tight because the room wasn't their typical size room. So like the camera angles that they got were different, and I liked the presentation. It just flowed differently. And you said during the crossover that like the show felt like it flew by for you, like it felt short, when really they did the full 2 hours tonight.
Yeah, I felt like, so after going to an AEW show and a WWE show and then an indie show, I have to say it felt like I was watching a televised indie show, and it was a good feeling. I mean that in the most, like, it felt homey. I felt like I was in the crowd almost. The way it was, I liked it. I miss a little bit of the production value, but overall the presentation felt like, yeah, and like you said, the UK crowds are ravenous, and UK wrestling, the UK crowds do something different. Any foreign crowd, I think, any non-American crowd really love pro wrestling, and you could tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the fun part about when Impact or anyone goes across the pond or goes to an underserviced market. And that's, again, something that WWE is about to do when they go over to Berlin and potentially to Paris, France, FightfulSelect.com to get that news, or when AEW goes over to London to the UK for a show like All In and has a massive audience. There's a lot of really cool stuff that happens when you go out of your regular audience zone, and that's cool. So I'm looking forward to that. We opened the show with no BTI because for some reason they had to let our pal George Iceman just get the scoops at home. He can't get scoops abroad. That's just the way it goes. He is a home scoopster only, and he was not part of the international skeleton crew. And they didn't want to put Simon Miller on the job because he'll be biased. We'll talk about him in a minute. But we open up with Joe Hendry versus Frankie Kazarian, and that's for the Glasgow Cup. Now, what is the Glasgow Cup? Couldn't tell you. They told us on the show that they had a quick tournament in the tapings, and that the finals were Joe Hendry and Frankie Kazarian. They mentioned Leon Slater, who is part of the roster now, and who is going to be a part of Impact moving forward, TNA moving forward. But other than that, Hendry and Frankie had a fantastic match, and that was kind of the showcase of this particular episode of Impact. It's all about the wrestling. This was a really solid match. Joe Hendry, to no one's surprise, gets the victory, wins that cup. And of course, he's going to have a match tomorrow night at Turning Point against Simon Miller. And I'll give you all the exclusive, including Cresta. tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern over on Fightful Overbooked, our sister channel. The one and only Simon Miller is going to join us to talk about his match against Joe Hendry on In the Weeds. So come and join us 10 a.m. Eastern on Fightful Overbooked with Simon Miller.
I might have to wake up early and tune in and troll the chat.
Go ahead, join us. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have all of you who are listening or watching this. We're looking forward to talking to Simon. So let's talk about this match. Frankie and Joe Hendry have a great match. They do a really interesting finish. It's a very World of Sport, very UK wrestling style finish from the 80s. They do the slugfest. They go back and forth, trading off shots, and then they do roll-ups for both men. And eventually Hendry gets a shock pin roll-up. That's how it works. So there you go. Hendry wins. Give me your thoughts.
This match was fantastic. The UK crowd was letting you know that Joe Hendry was their guy. There was nothing Frankie Kazarian could have done. Poor guy. He wrestled his heart out. And I also want to give credit to Kazarian, I think, for pivoting and wrestling a little bit heel. Once you realize you're not going to get over, give the people what they want. Yeah, at this point, just give the people what they want. The 2 failed chicken wings, which I thought was crazy because that's a move that's generally protected. The fact that Joe Hendry got out of it, that to me solidified there was any doubt in my mind that Kazarian was going to win. Once that happened, I was like, that's not happening. The match itself was good. I feel like it went the way that it should have. I don't really have too much on that. Besides that big superplex was nice, but this is the type of match I expect from these two, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And I like the point that you made about Kazarian having to kind of shift focus and work heel. And I actually really like the way Frankie Kazarian worked tonight. I typically like the way he wrestles. We gave him high marks when he had his match against Edward Edwards in the Impact Zone for the Impact. Oh my God, they had a name for it. The 2 out of 3 falls match. Someone in the chat's going to remind me what it's actually called.
Killer Co-op 3 out of 3.
Impact.
Killer Impact.
Either way, the 2 out of 3 falls match, we gave high marks to both men, but Kazarian tonight was really working. He was working with a lot of emphasis and a lot of enthusiasm, and that's not that he hasn't been before. It was just different. Maybe because he was going after a championship again. Maybe it was because there was a sense of urgency and he had to change on the fly. It was just a really solid match that I think people should go out of their way and watch. 23 minutes, simple, effective storytelling. And the match was good. And then post-match, you have Scott D'Amore presenting the cup to Joe Hendry. Dad, thank you. Can I get mine next? Where's my cup?
He hasn't even come back from the cigarettes. That's terrible.
Terrible.
Come back. Terrible, Your Honor. That's why they don't want to fly us out, because they know this. You have to finish the story.
I just looked when I put up the photo and then I took it down and I realized I look the same.
It's time for Joel to finish the story. It's time.
Come on, Scott. Let's sit down in Vegas. I'll get a nice room. We'll talk about it. Anyway, Joe Hendry backstage afterwards says it's been quite the year to believe in Joe Hendry. Debuted last October, had a lengthy title run, created a tag team that captured the world in 5 weeks. And then it ended. And then he calls out Simon Miller. Of course, we've talked about, and he'll be on In the Weeds tomorrow morning. So Simon Miller, Joe Hendry, that's tomorrow night at Turning Point. That's going to be a hell of a match. Looking forward to that and to the conversation with Simon tomorrow morning on In the Weeds. Moose Myers and Deonna Purrazzo are backstage. Virtuous Pro Wrestling Gods. What did you think of this name, Cresta?
That's a lot. I mean, I get it. But that's a lot. That's a mouthful. That's like you take a whole bunch of Cheerios and milk with a tablespoon, or you really should have like a cereal spoon. It's good, but that's a lot. That's a lot. It's a good name, but they got to come up with a nickname or something. They got to do something, because that's a lot.
VPWG. Nope, can't do that either. Anyway.
VPN, NordVPN.
Right. If they sponsor this one, then we'll talk about it. Anyway.
Impact VPN.
The takeaways here is that they're facing Subculture tonight, and that Deonna and Trinity is going to happen tomorrow night at Turning Point for the Knockouts World Championship. Gail Kim is a special guest referee, and if Deonna Purrazzo loses, Deonna cannot challenge for the Knockouts Championship again while Trinity is the champion. And then they had the match. The Virtuous Pro Wrestling Gods, that's an awful name for a tag team, versus Subculture. And then we add in Subculture is going to take on Josh Alexander and Eric Young. And also Jordan Grace is going to take on Danny Luna. They're basically like intersplicing what matches are happening at Turning Point based on what match you're watching. And it's a little jarring. But anyway, it's there. Nice to see Subculture back. And the intergender wrestling was really, really good for all
Yes.
6 people in the match. I really enjoyed it. The match was a little strange at times, but I like that Deonna almost submitted Dani Luna in the armbar towards the end of the match, and then Mandrews breaks it up and then goes at it with Moose, and then the finish is Moose hanging out Mandrews on the top rope, hits the spear, gets the pin after everyone else is taken out of the match. Good finish. Just a good match, solid match. That's all I got. How about you?
I enjoyed this match. Moose is a piece of crap. He pump kicked Dani Luna like twice. That was unnecessary. Unnecessary. I do have just one critique, and who am I? So please don't beat me up. But this is my critique. There was that one time when Deonna Purrazzo had Dani Luna in an arm bar. And instead of let me make sure I got this right. I don't know if it was Mark Andrews or Flash Morgan Webster. One of these people went to go jump out of the ring on Moose instead of kicking old girl and get her off of Dani Luna. And then the other guy had to come inside. I'm like, but that seems a little counterintuitive. Old girl, Deonna Purrazzo will tap you out. That's something she will do. So I didn't understand that. But besides that, it was great. Seeing Brian Myers get beat up was kind of cathartic for me. I don't know why, but something about seeing Brian Myers get beat up by Dani Luna, who also is so strong. I cannot wait for that Jordynne Grace Dani Luna match tomorrow. Jordynne Grace is going to beat her up. I don't mind. I know it's going to happen, but I can't wait. I can't wait. That match is going to be so good.
So a couple of things. One with Moose. This was obviously the beginning of the build of Moose as a singles wrestler again. I'm hoping that they start taking him out of tag matches and start giving him more singles matches so that he gets that hard to kill match a little bit, more important leading in. We got 2 months to do it. So if Moose has important matches or gets emphatic wins, then we're looking good. But at the end of the day, it was all about Deonna in this match, because Deonna has the title shot tomorrow as it is for the Knockouts title. So it makes sense that she would have another strong showing, and then Myers is just Myers.
Listen, I love this character that Moose and Myers play together. It is honestly because Moose is his character is such a piece of crap, and Brian Myers is like, listen, I'm a piece of crap, but not like that guy. But I don't look as bad if I stand next to this guy. You know what I mean? I'm not that bad.
Shout out to all or both teams having matching gear. Subculture always has
yes,
gear, but I love the yellow and black that Moose Myers and Deonna pulled out for this. So they had planned it, and they planned it well.
It was really good. It was good.
Yeah. Trey Miguel versus Grado. This was great. Grado's return to Impact Wrestling. On the Turning Point countdown is going to be Grado and I'm just going to spoil it because I'm sure it's out there already. Grado and Rhino are teaming up. They're going to take on Mike Vecchio and Ryan Richards. They're just local talent in this case. Grado is going to fill the role of Heath, who is now a free agent and has left Impact Wrestling. Interview notes over on Fightful Select. And of course, the interview tomorrow drops on youtube.com/Fightful. Sean Ross Sapp sat down with Heath Slater. Just Heath Miller, I guess he's called now. That is his name. So Heath and Sean chop it up and have a really good conversation. Either way, Trey and Grado, good match, comedy match. Trey can do it. Grado can do it. And in a shock finish, Grado gets the wee boots and pins Trey Miguel.
I could not believe it. I was actually kind of shocked, but I also was laughing this whole match. The match, again, the wrestling superb, but this match was clownery in the highest order. Like, this was sports entertainment.
It was very entertaining. It was just Grado was a great comedy wrestler. Like, there's no doubt about that. But Trey can also either do the comedy or play straight man, and he did that throughout the match. And they both kind of traded off, which I really enjoyed. And then the fans chopping Trey kind of added to the comedy.
That was great. That was so good.
Oh, by the way, Trey Miguel versus Rich Swann opens the show at Turning Point tomorrow because they just love throwing the matches at you as they air them.
Listen, I'll take it because I know that match is going to be good. I'll take it.
And then I got to point out this one spot. Grado faking out Trey multiple times, having him do the leapfrog and then land and then tabletopping him was just fantastic. Just a good comedy spot. It was a good little comedy match to get us in the mood.
Yeah. I cannot stress enough how I feel like this went fast, but please guys watch this. It was to me, it was digestible. It was great. And I feel like it went fast because I don't have many notes. So I'm sitting here watching it like, what the hell is happening? I'm so entertained.
It's it was good stuff. I didn't expect Grado to win. And you know what? I read the spoilers. I was given the results and I was like, Wait, Grado won?
And now you see how with the wee boot.
And with the wee boot. Oh, it was a good match. Edward Edwards gets us ready for his match against Will Ospreay Turning Point, which, by the way, is a really freaking good match. They mention their backgrounds, or Edward Edwards mentions the background for both men in Japan, both being champions. Really looking forward to it. I know that you and I, Cresta, talk about Edward Edwards being a bit stale when it comes to Impact. This is going to be a match that it's going to entertain, and it's going to probably have some awe. What happens afterwards, I don't know, with Eddie Edwards specifically, because we know what's happening with Will Ospreay. He's having banger matches. He's doing what he wants to do. And Impact's like, yeah, we want him in TNA. Sure, let's do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's what happens to Edward Edwards after the fact. Either way, this was a good solid promo from Edward Edwards.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add, but you do bring up an interesting point about what happens to Eddie Edwards afterwards. Because I've seen a few iterations of Eddie Edwards, the heart and soul of Impact, Honor No More, whatever this is. I'm going to hit PCO with my car. And I think that right now, Alicia is in a good spot with this over-the-top, annoying manager, valet, Vicky Guerrero levels of Jesus Christ. I'm here for it. But now it's like, what do we do with Eddie? I don't know if there's, I don't know what, I don't have a suggestion. I'm just a mark who watches wrestling. You know what I mean? But it'd be nice to see him, I guess, to match Alicia's intensity in that sense, so he can keep doing stuff like that. Like, I would not be supposed to Eddie Edwards pulling a Bully Ray. And I hate saying that out loud, but I think it'd be a nice change of pace.
No, man, I get it. You and I, we've talked about the whole Bully Ray in Impact reign, or just his time in Impact since, what was it, Bound for Glory 2 years ago? 2 years ago?
It would have to be, because Josh Alexander was still champion. Yeah.
Yeah, because then they went into Hard to Kill 2023. Either way, it doesn't matter. The point was, when Bully came back, we were on the fence about it, and then they did the Hard to Kill stuff, and there were some ups and downs with Bully, but mostly it was good, just storytelling and long-term storytelling. I don't know what happens with Bully now, but with Eddie, yeah, it would be nice to see someone who's like, I'm a guy, I've been here forever, I am a TNA stalwart, I am a guy who deserves to be here and deserves the respect, especially as the rebrand starts. If he doesn't have a standout match at Hard to Kill, I would be surprised. Like a highly promoted match.
No, I agree with that. I want something more for Eddie Edwards, and I feel like there's something in there. I just don't know what. So that's, again, who am I?
We got a Humper chat from Baba. Thank you, by the way, saying you guys need to be in Vegas for TNA. Let's crowdfund that, and maybe Fightful could contribute to, hey, speak to Jimmy, speak to Sean, tell them we should go, just at them. I'm not going to tell you to harass them in the DMs. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't DM them, but let's get a hashtag campaign, Team Joel Star for Vegas.
Listen, the flight, this is also, by the way, this kudos to TNA for this weekend that they're picking, the 13th, it's the cheapest weekend to be in Vegas, like, of the year, because it's after New Year's. It is like almost 2 weeks after New Year's. So like everyone's just gone. This is good time to come and do it. The flight return is $200 for me from Toronto.
And I'm literally like kind of just south of you. So
I'm sure it's cheap, and I'm sure that there's like a Frontier or a Spirit flight. I'm an easy flyer. I don't know. I'm an easy flyer when it comes to this shit, because let me show you this is what I travel with.
I'm ready. He gonna bring out just a book bag. I knew it.
Yeah, all my shit goes in here. I've got a bottom pack that opens up, and I got this guy. That's all I need.
Baby, that's one of my carry-ons, baby.
I'm very easy when I travel, because I also, I have what I need. I have what I need, and that's that. And the cameras that I travel with are very small, so everything just kind of works. And also, I hopefully sometimes have friends that can lend me some gear if I'm really in a pinch. Anyway, the point is, it's the hotel. It's always because you know what? I know we're kind of going off on a tangent, because let's face it, we have an hour to kill. The actual hotels, it's the stupid resort fees.
Yeah. I mean, the way I justify it is like, you could stay at an Airbnb that'll be 50 miles out the way, but you're paying $20 a night. Or you could pay your $400 a night like everybody else who goes to Vegas. You know what I mean?
My ass is going to park myself at the Palms if I can, because that's where the show is. I can just live in the Palms for a couple of days, do what I need to do. I've looked in the area there. I can go across the street, get a sandwich wherever. I don't need to worry. I'm very easy when I travel like that. Just, I can post up for a few days, play Nintendo Switch, and go to the shows and maybe see some friends.
Guys, we're gonna give you a whole hashtag like fund team Joel Star for Impact.
And honestly, if we go, that's the thing. Like, my whole thing is I'm not going if I can't give you guys content. If I can't bring you any interviews or any conversations with people who are associated with TNA, then there's no point in me going. When WWE came to Montreal for Elimination Chamber, they originally didn't plan to do a media scrum or any sort of media events. And then I got a message from Sean just being like, so I'll pull the curtain back for a second. I told Sean, like, hey, I'm thinking of going. I don't know if WWE's doing anything, but I pitched him on a different story. And he was like, well, they're actually going to do media. He came back to me a day later and he was like, fill this out and you can go. And that's what happened. I ended up going because WWE did a media thing. If TNA is giving any media availability, which to be honest is rare, but it's a new TNA, so who knows, then I would be there. I would 100% go because the price is right.
Yeah. As somebody who never experienced TNA, I joke, and the only things I really know from TNA besides Aces and Eights is the Jay Lethal promo and Scott Steiner math. I think this is really cool. I would love to interview someone like Deonna Purrazzo or Kylan King, Joel Pearl's arch nemesis, Steve Mack. Because it's my fault. But I would love to do that, something like that, so we can interview. And I think as someone who's new eyes on the product would be fantastic. I want to interview Matthew Raywald. I don't care. I'm putting that in the universe. So if you see this.
Anyway, let's keep talking. Trinity takes on Emerson Jane. It's non-title. The Cleopatra of Catch is a great nickname for Emerson Jane. They rattle off others, but that's the one I like. Simple match. I don't have to go too far into it. Cross-legged Michinoku driver from Jane looked great. And then eventually Trinity hits her sit-out Bubba Bomb, as I call it, for the win. And that's the match. Anything to add?
Emerson Jane got a lot more offense in than I thought. And I got to give it up to Trinity because Trinity's really like, let the girls wrestle. And if any way I can help, I'll help too. It was a good match. It was a fine match.
Yeah, it was fine. Nothing more to add. Simple, easy. Let's go. Josh Alexander and Eric Young. This is already the main event.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. Like this show was very wrestling based, very wrestling heavy. Josh Alexander and Eric Young team up for the first time to take on Motor City Machine Guns, Shelly and Sabin. November 16th, they've announced that Alexander versus Ospreay will air on the TV show. And Eric Young and Alexander have matching singlets. So maybe this is a thing that'll happen for a bit. I don't hate the idea, by the way, of Alexander and Young teaming for a bit, joining the tag team events.
Yeah, I think that's actually really good for Alexander. It keeps him out of the main event scene because if he's a single star, it's going to be like, why isn't Alexander in your main event? You know what I mean? So I think this is really good. And the matching gear, the commentary is putting over, this is giving shades of Team Canada. And they're both Canadian brothers. I think their name is the Canadian Brothers of the Canadian Killers or something like that. Either way, I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's solid. I want to see these two team up a little bit more. I see AO in the chat saying world-class weapons. I don't know if WWE would be a fan of that.
That's the last time WWE did anything with WCW besides to make somebody else feel bad.
Just call them Team Canada A or A Team Canada or A Canadian team.
Canada Team 2.
This sorry bunch. The sorry bunch.
The sorry. Sorry.
Sorry.
Not sorry.
My Canadian dialect is gone and I live in this country. Anyway, Shelly and Alexander, they start the match. They have a good back and forth. A lot of teasing of the C4 spike and the shell shock again from both men. It was good stuff. And at the end, listen, let's just give you the ending here. Young hits the elbow. This is hilarious, by the way. Young hits the elbow drop and he isn't the legal man. I'm gonna go back a little bit because I'm so into this. Okay. Chris Sabin hits a sorry chat. I lost my train of thought for a minute. Sabin hits a cradle shock and then goes after Eric Young, but then tries to take Eric Young to the top rope for some reason instead of take him out of the match to get the pin on Josh Alexander, who he had just hit the cradle shock on. And then Eric Young takes down Chris Sabin and instead hits the elbow drop, I should say. But then the referee realizes Eric Young is not the legal man, so he gets out of the ring, tags in at Josh Alexander, gets back in the ring, and goes for the pinfall, hits a 2.9. And then Sabin hits the cradle shock on Young. This time he low drop kicks Alexander, which is smart. Live and learn, gets the pin. That's it. That's the finish. And it's so it's such a long way around the mulberry bush. Just to get
It's
the win.
funny.
It was funny.
It was kind of funny. It was funny. I'm not gonna hold you. When he pinned him and the ref was like, dude, you're not legal. He's like, ah.
It was silly as hell, but it was fantastic. In like the weirdest way. But the match, again, match was fine. There was a lot of working over Josh Alexander's leg. There was a moment where Josh Alexander was working over Sabin, got him in the ankle lock, but then turned it into a sharpshooter midway. Love that stuff. Good chain wrestling. Good. What you expect to come out of this whole thing is just a good, solid tag team match between four men who have experience in TNA. These guys are, well, Josh Alexander, not so much, but the other three are TNA originals. So good match, solid way to finish the night. There isn't really much I can add to this because the show was just a whole bunch of wrestling and not a lot of anything else.
Yeah, it was pretty much watch Turning Point tomorrow. But until then, get a load of all this great wrestling. And that's what it was. I want to highlight there was a big tornado DDT on Eric Young. And it was, I forgot what happened directly after that. But the sequence, I had to stop writing because I literally wrote button. I just started watching. That's how good this match was. Josh Alexander and Eric Young are such good wrestlers that I was low-key surprised that they lost. But I was like, wait a minute, no. Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin are your champions right now. So like it's not that I think that they're bad. It's like everyone is so good that it's like I can't believe anyone's losing. You know what I mean? I don't know how to describe it, guys. Please go and watch this match. This whole episode flew by, but it's such good wrestling. It is such good wrestling. I cannot stress that enough.
It was a wrestling heavy show, and tomorrow night probably a lot more of the same. You want to run down the Turning Point card?
Let's do it. Listen, you don't gotta guess because I know you already know, but no sell me on my answers. Thanks very much.
That's fine. I will just get your thoughts. Grado and Rhino take on Mike Vecchio and Ryan Richards in a tag team match.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Grado and Rhino because I've never heard of these other young men. No disrespect to these young men, but the pop that Grado got, they love Grado and Grado loves them.
That is fair. I think of all the matches, that is probably the one that's easiest to call for tomorrow night. Mark Haskins takes on Leon Slater. Haskins, who, by the way, has been around for years in British wrestling and also across, he was part of Ring of Honor, part of NXT UK, I think, for a little bit as well. Leon Slater is a young dude who is just tearing it up right now. So those two, Haskins and Slater, who you got?
Oh, honestly, I don't know either of these young men, and I'm so sorry. I'm trying to brush up on my wrestling. So whoever Joel got, whoever he likes, I love him.
Well, all right. Eric Young and Josh Alexander take on Subculture, the team of Flash Morgan Webster and Manders.
Now I have two thought processes on this.
Okay.
And one of them is kind of swayed because Josh Alexander and Eric Young had matching gear tonight. So I'm like, oh, that was easy. Subculture. But not really. They got matching gear. People trying to come up with names for them. Maybe, but I could still see Subculture winning this because they're a well-oiled machine. And I would like to see Josh Alexander and Eric Young do more. I would like to maybe do like a tag run. I don't know, honestly. I'm not too sure. The matching gear makes me think, Subculture ain't contracted to Impact full time. And this is Josh Alexander. Eric Young is going to eat a little crow now, so tomorrow he can win. You know what? Josh Alexander, Eric Young. That's what I'm going with. Final answer. Lock in those lyrics.
Okay. Alex Windsor takes on Giselle Shaw.
Giselle Shaw, listen, I'm part of the Shaw Entourage. She could do no wrong. I don't care. She could do no wrong.
Alex Windsor, by the way, another up-and-coming star that people should be keeping their eye on. So I'm looking forward to Shaw and Windsor. Rich Swann and Trey Miguel.
That's going to be a good match. But I have a feeling that Trey Miguel's going to be a sneaky Pete and cheat. He going to cheat. He going to cheat. Trey Miguel hasn't changed.
So you're saying you said Trey Miguel?
Yes, he's going to cheat.
Okay. Jordan Grace takes on Danny Luna, also part of Subculture. That is a hot fight. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm about to say we win, us, the viewers. Yeah. We're the winners. I'm going to go ahead and say Jordan Grace, but that match is going to be meat.
It is going to be good. It's that's going to be a lot of fun. I totally forgotten about this match. Simon Miller, who joins us on In the Weeds tomorrow 10 a.m., is going to take on Joe Hendry. Do you believe, or is it Simon Miller's time?
Let me tell you why. Here's why. Okay, I'm going to go on a short little tangent for a hot second.
Let's go.
I have watched Simon Miller and Wrestle Talk before I even knew what Fightful was and when I first started watching wrestling. So to see him actually be on Impact and have like this full circle moment, I'm so happy for that young man. I don't know him from a can of paint, but good on you, sir. Chase your dreams. Be great. It's so funny when he's like all that, like, I'm a bald asshole. And now look at you fighting Joe Hendry, who's a secret asshole. So you guys got a lot in common. From a personal standpoint, I win. I like both of these guys. I don't care how this shakes out, but I win. I personally win. But I'm going with Joe Hendry because his birthday, if I'm not mistaken, is a day after mine. I think his birthday's May 3rd. My birthday's May 2nd. So you know what you're going to do.
We got a super chat from Dex Baker saying, I was thinking about why the tag team main event was so big. All 4 guys are TNA/Impact Triple Crown champs, and there aren't many in the company history. And that's a very good point. This was an all-star main event with Young Alexander and Motor City Machine Guns. It was a solid match. And again, you have 3 TNA originals and Josh Alexander, who's like a TNA stan, in the nicest way possible. So this was, again, a really solid main event. 4 wrestlers who are there to do the wrestling.
Yes.
Speaking of which, Frankie Kazarian and Chris Sabin against the most professional wrestling gods. It was supposed to be Alex Shelley, but Kazarian replaced Shelley, who was injured.
Moose is a cheater, so I'll go with the most professional wrestling gods. And not because Sabin is injured, because I think that, I'm sorry, you said, was it Shelley or Sabin?
Kazarian and Sabin. Shelley is out.
Okay. And it's not because Shelley's out, but I think Moose is going to cheat regardless of who was in that match.
Fair. For the Knockouts World Championship, they called a last chance match for Deonna. Trinity defends against Deonna Purrazzo, and Gail Kim is the special guest referee.
Let me tell you that I do not know. I want to say everything in my heart says Trinity, but commentary kept putting over how last time Gail Kim was in an authority role in Impact TNA that it didn't go well for Deonna. So it leads me to believe that there is a screwy finish. But I don't know. I want to go with my gut. I'm going to support Trinity. I'm going to say Trinity, but I mean this wholeheartedly. I do not know.
My feeling, no, you know what? I can't even say it. So I'm not going to say it right now. I'm going to have to wait until tomorrow night after our not final resolution. That's in December. After our Turning Point review, there are so many specials in Impact.
Yes.
After our Turning Point review, I will give you, after that match, I will give you my thoughts. And then finally, Edward Edwards and Will Ospreay go one-on-one.
I'm going to say something nice about Eddie Edwards. I think we, the fans, are going to win. So Will Ospreay is definitely going to be Eddie Edwards. But I think as someone who's always on Eddie Edwards' back, that this is going to be one hell of a match. Respectful, I think this is going to be one of those matches like, yo, you talk crap about Eddie Edwards, but let me tell you why he been an Impact for 50-something years. Let me show you, boy. Like, I think this is going to be a really good match.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to it. Again, going into it, we both kind of agreed that this is an opportunity for Edward Edwards to step out of what we've seen lately out of him in Impact, minus the killer Impact, the 2 out of 3 falls match. Again, I got to remember the name for the stupid 2 out of 3 falls match. But with that in mind, if this is a standout match like it should be for Ospreay and Eddie Edwards specifically, then we're looking good for Edward Edwards as we get closer to a TNA rebrand that's still 2 months away.
I mean, but absolutely. No, I agree. I think someone like you said, who Eddie Edwards is one of the cornerstones of Impact TNA, him having a good match against Will Ospreay sends a good positive message for people who may be returning to Impact. Well, TNA now.
Yeah. And so I will put it like this as we cap it off. This next couple of months, I'm we're going to be here. We're going to be covering everything that's Impact and canon. So IPWF we're not going to do, but these reviews might not go very long because there's a lot of just wrestling centric matches, and that's fine. That's totally fine. There isn't going to be a lot of build, at least for the next little bit. Impact goes to Mexico in November at some point as well. They finally put that out there officially again. And then, of course, they're in Toronto twice in the next little bit. So we'll be here. We'll be covering it, but it's going to be a little tough sometimes to not think about Impact spinning their wheels as they get closer to TNA and as we get closer to the Hard to Kill pay-per-view.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is my second year doing this, going on my second year. Shout outs to Fightful. Shout outs to you guys for coming here every day, every Thursday. They kind of did the same thing last year. We got to a certain point and it was like, okay, we're gonna chill out. Josh Alexander, have some fun. We're gonna relax, and then come January, go. So I'm here for it. I'm here for it. These guys work their asses off all year. So if towards the end of the year, it's kind of like, let's do some dream matches. Let's kick our feet up, especially with the Impact TNA rebrand. I firmly believe that when we do get to January, it's going to be literally, and not to sound corny, total nonstop action.
You went there. But that's the thing. We didn't have a rebrand last year to look at. And that's what's going to be different, is that right now they are going to be spinning the wheels because they have everything put into this rebrand in January. They're not TNA yet. They're Impact for now, and everything else is Impact. Like the final resolution show, they might do one or two special things, but other than that, it's just kind of going to be there, which is fine. And I'm just warning everyone now that there is a possibility that for the next 2 months, it might be a little bit of a slog talking about the show. The wrestling will be great. It often is, especially knowing what happened in Chicago, which is what we're getting for the next 2 weeks of TV, maybe 3 weeks. But yeah, that's kind of just my not warning, but it's just my consideration thing.
Yeah. Enjoy the wrestling. Don't get so hung up on, well, this doesn't make sense. Yo, it's wrestling. It's like magic. You ain't gotta explain shit. It don't gotta make sense, baby. Come on, turn your brain off.
All the stories are just gonna be all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna probably get like these random matches like, I didn't know I wanted you guys to wrestle. Thank you for that.
Anyway, Cresta, tell them what you got going on.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am here on Fightful every Thursday and Saturday. Thursdays, I'm here with the lovely Joel Pearl, following Righteous Reg and Kate for the Ring of Honor post show for the Impact show. On Saturdays, Rick is back, ladies and gentlemen, so no more chaotic two-woman power trips. On Saturday, it's going to be myself, Rick, and Iridian. We cover all things Collision. Mondays and Wednesdays, you can find me over on Twitch and TikTok at Cresta Star. If that was too much information right here at the bottom somewhere, Cresta the Star on X, Twitter, whatever, the Bird app, whatever you youths are calling them, follow me. All my Linktree stuff is in Linktree bio. My brain is off. Joel Pearl, help.
We'll be back tomorrow night for an Impact Turning Point review. I hope that y'all will join us. We'll be live after the show goes off the air. Don't ask me when that is, but we'll see. And I am at Joel Pearl, JOELPERL. Again, tomorrow morning, on Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, Simon Miller is going to join us. He has a match against Joe Hendry. It's an Impact match. So clearly you got to be there to watch it. 10 a.m. Eastern on In the Weeds. Fightful Overbooked. Go over to youtube.com/Fightful Overbooked. Leave a thumbs up on the way out. And of course, subscribe to us here, youtube.com/Fightful. Ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.